Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. So today on the channel, we're going to be talking about some innovative fire extinguishing products. Fire is one of the most powerful forces of nature, especially during a grid down event. It's very important that you put fire suppression at the top of your prepping priority list. So let's get to it. Fire is something that a lot of people underestimate. I've been hanging out with some firefighters lately, and I've been seeing them light stuff on fire, and it amazes me how quickly a fire can spread. I never knew a car could go up in flames as fast as it did when we ran our tests. Now, I was hanging out with these guys because I wanted to know whether or not these fire extinguisher fireballs actually worked. We're also going to talk about a variety of different other fire suppressant products that you can use in a pinch if it ever came down to it. It's very important that one of the first things you buy when you get a new house or a new vehicle is a fire extinguisher. Everybody should at least have a small fire extinguisher in their vehicle, and definitely have a fire extinguisher in your home. It's one of those things, you see a lot of preppers who they have 15 years worth of food stored away, but they don't have the simple tools to change a tire, or in this case, to put out a fire. This is going to be very problematic during a grid down event where help may not be coming. Emergency services may be very overwhelmed. They may not be able to respond to calls. And if you're in a blackout situation, you don't know what's going on around you. Especially if you live in an apartment building, the risk of fire is going to be drastically increased if and when those emergency fail-safes stop working. Regardless of whether or not you have a sprinkler system in your complex, if that doesn't work, you're sharing that same building with hundreds of other people. You don't know what they're doing. Maybe it's winter time. Maybe people are trying to light fires within their home in order to stay warm. Maybe we're talking about electrical fires, if we're talking about power surges and disruptions in the power grid, as have been seen in California to cause some fires in recent years. So fire is not something you should underestimate. There's a reason why you have to have fire insurance to own a home, or at least in Canada, to run a business, because it's one of the highest risk factors. So one of the first things you should probably get is a fire extinguisher. The problem with fire extinguishers, however, is that they do expire, and they require you to be right there with the fire when the fire is raging. You can get fire extinguishers of a variety of different sizes. You can get them at CanadianPreparedness.com or your local hardware store. Another thing to get is a fire blanket. So how this works, you hang it by your fire extinguisher on the wall, you pull these tabs, you release it, and you get yourself a fiberglass blanket, which is going to be able to smother a fire, depriving it of oxygen. So we decided to bring these AFG fireballs into the store, and I wanted to really put them to the test. Now these fireballs, they come in different shapes and sizes and colors and decorations, because the idea with these is that you can leave these in your living room and you can get different designs to complement your interior design. They do come with these stands that you can also hang on the wall, just like a fire extinguisher. Now this fire extinguisher ball, they come in a variety of different sizes. And the idea with this is that this is going to explode and release a bunch of fire suppressant powder when it's exposed to a flame. Because the idea with this is that you are going to have it in high-risk places of your home, just sitting there, okay? And one of the benefits of this is that it lasts for 15 years. Unlike fire extinguishers, they don't have to be checked every couple years. It's a simple one-and-done solution. And one of the best things about it is, in theory, you shouldn't have to be there in order for it to work. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open one up here, just so you can see what's inside. This is not something you're supposed to do, by the way. This may actually void the product. So how this works, this is a styrofoam ball. It melts very easy. It contains the exact same stuff inside as is in a fire extinguisher. Now, as you can see on the outside here, this is a fuse, okay? The fuse is on both sides of it. So what that means is as soon as a flame comes in contact with this fuse, this is going to trigger a really fast reaction that's going to go into the center of this sphere where there's a little bit of black powder, just enough to blow this thing to smithereens and project the fire extinguishing chemical agent. Now, they say that this is going to be able to work in a 900 cubic foot space. So basically what you see here, as tall as I am and as wide as my arms, that's essentially what this is going to be useful for. Ideally, this would be detonated right over the heart of the fire, and it would shoot the chemical suppressant down on it and either totally neutralize the fire or just suppress it to give you enough time to either grab a fire extinguisher or to get some people to safety, or whatever the case might be. So in our testing, what we found is that it does work to suppress fire temporarily, but you need to have modest expectations with respect to the size of fire that this thing can actually extinguish. We put it to the test. We had the whole fire department out. We were lighting cars on fire. So the tests that we ran with it, in some cases, overwhelmed the product. In some cases, the product didn't perform as it was supposed to, but it did what it did in terms of igniting very easily. This chain reaction that happens at ignition only takes a few seconds. It takes a very small spark or flame to ignite this thing. As you can see, when I was holding it in my hand, the reason why I did that test is to prove that it's not dangerous to people. Now, I certainly wouldn't recommend that anybody try that. Even if this was to detonate close to you, you know, the risk of casualty is extremely low. But again, that's not something you want to do. This is for the purpose of being detonated while there is nobody in the immediate area. So the fire that these things are capable of extinguishing are going to be relatively small fires. We lit up a couple hay bales and a bunch of pallets. That was a fire that was just too big for this to overwhelm. And part of the problem with how it works is that it's going to project that fire powder. So let's say this was a solid surface and you threw this into a fire. It's not going to be able to get over onto this side of whatever is burning. So it's going to explode and the debris is going to hit here. But if there's a fire going on the other side of it, then it's not going to work that effectively. So this thing works best if it's detonating above a fire. Unfortunately, it can't detonate until this is actually ignited. So typically what happens is you throw it into a fire, it hits the ground, then it detonates. And that's how this is going to work. So fire breaks out. This thing is going to rain down fire extinguishing suppressant and hopefully buy you, in the very least, buy you a little bit more time. One of the other failures that we had with this product was in the shape. The owner of the company, I've been doing some back and forth with him, trying to find out ways that we can improve this product. And what I've recommended is some kind of I can't actually say the word, we'll write it on the screen, but it's basically like a spherical hexagon to have a bit of a roll stop feature to this, so that when you throw it onto a target, it doesn't roll off, it doesn't roll away, it doesn't bounce off. There's two ways you can probably do that. One is by having that spherical hexagon, or you can even put maybe some spikes on here. The reason why it's in a spherical shape is because that's the most effective way of equally dispersing energy over 360 degrees. What I would say though is that in some cases you might not want 360 degrees. If this is mounted on a wall, there's no reason why I would want this to explode backwards into the wall. I would want all of that debris pushing out forwards. So in that case, I think that this product still could be improved. I also think that the fact that it does require a flame to be ignited, we stuffed a car hood full of hay and combustibles, and unfortunately it wasn't able to fully extinguish the fire under the hood. It did suppress it temporarily, but that's one of the limitations. Now, you can't make something like this that's activated by heat. And the reason for that is that it would likely prematurely detonate if it got too hot, if it was close to an engine. You couldn't have this in a kitchen if that was the case. I still think the product could be improved a bit, and this product meets all regulations. There's probably like 10 different companies that have certified this product for use in the United States. There's a lot of knockoffs of these on the market based on what the manufacturer of this claims, who is based out of the United States. These are manufactured in the United States. It's been engineered using the insights of career firefighters. And this is something I think that everybody should probably have in their home. So these go between $60 and $110, $120 USD. And if you pick one up at CanadianPreparedness.com, you can use the 10% off discount code. We'll probably run a bit of a promo just for this video. This is definitely not meant to replace a fire extinguisher. It's not meant to replace a fire blanket. Fire is such an important thing that you should have many different options, especially in a grid down situation, or if it's forest fire season, you absolutely should have a contingency plan for dealing with fire. This is just one more tool in your toolbox. Now, in terms of personal protective equipment, you can get yourself what's called a smoke hood. This is a relatively inexpensive way to allow you to evacuate a place immediately. These are by and large disposable systems, or you can get yourself a gas mask with standard P3 filters. That's going to allow you to evacuate a space. If you're talking about being confined in a place which is carbon monoxide laden for long periods of time, you can get yourself carbon monoxide filters. We sell those also at CanadianPreparedness.com. So instead of buying your 10th $500 survival knife, if you don't have fire suppressant stuff like this at home, then I think you're slipping on the practical preparedness end of things. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and my Fire Marshal Bill impersonation. I still got all my fingers, but once again, I would not advise you trying that at home. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay safe out there. Canadian Prepper out.
The best way to support this channel is to support yourself by gearing up at CanadianPreparedness.com. The best quality products at the best prices. Use discount code SURVIVALPREPPER, all caps, all one word, for 10% off. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.